Right here on BBC Essex.
BBC Essex.
But the time, 7:38. And we bring you some news of another kind, don't we, producer Owen? Have a listen to this. 2017.
Basildon, a big faded ball of light going in and out of the clouds. It was making strange manoeuvres.
2022.
Clacton, a red flashing light in the sky that hasn't moved for half an hour. The informant says it's making them feel uneasy.
In 2023.
Chelmsford, there's a light in the sky swooping from side to side. It looks like a white glow.
Well, these are just some of the UFO reports that Essex Police have received by members of the public over the last 10 years. And they've recently released those stats. Basildon having the most with 6, followed by Chelmsford and Colchester with 5 each. Police say these sightings could be a number of things, including illegal aircraft activity, so they do have to log them down, but some of them could potentially be unexplained. That wouldn't be a police matter, of course. Looking through this log, and Smithy and I were having a flick through earlier, it's fascinating stuff, and I wonder if you can relate to this in any way, if you've ever seen anything like this yourself. Well, now's your chance to get in touch if you have. 0800 111 40 41. We've got David John from Leigh-on-Sea, David Young from Canvey with me now on BBC Essex. They're from a paranormal investigation group called the SEPI Agency. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Sonia.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for joining us. Well, David John, we've got 2 interviews, 2 Davids here. David John from Leigh-on-Sea, let's start with you. What do you think about this, first of all, these stats being released and what they tell us, or maybe don't tell us?
Yeah, I'm not too surprised to hear the stats, to be honest. Both areas of Basildon, Chelmsford, are very highly populated in urban areas, so you've got a high density of people there seeing objects, and there is the misidentification issue as well. People seeing, normal phenomena, lights that originate from the ground, airplanes, such like. So I'm not too surprised, but really it's only the tip of the iceberg because not everybody reports what they see.
So you think there would be potentially many more incidents? Because I was saying this earlier, I drive obviously really early to get here for my shift, and sometimes you sort of see things, don't you? Or you're out and about at night and you sort of see something, you think, what is that? But you don't take that any further, do you?
Well, absolutely, because people don't think they're going to be believed for a start, and unfortunately the police don't have the protocols in place. It's not that they're not interested, it's just they don't have protocols in place to investigate things. So the police have a UFO category because the Home Office demand it to capture anything such as illegally, flight paths, airplane smugglers, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So UFO has to exist for that one reason and not really for the other reason, which is the more interesting one.
Yes, stay there, David John. I'm going to come back to you on that in a minute. Let's bring you in, David Young. You're from Canvey. You're part of this paranormal investigation group as well. And what do you think about that then, in terms of some of the things that are reported, maybe the many more incidents that aren't reported, and the fact that some of them, well, they just can't be explained necessarily?
Yeah. Well, Essex is just one area. I mean, and I would say that there are far more than what are reported by the police. People just don't usually report their sightings to the police normally. In a normal, you probably get a very small percentage of that. But worldwide, there are thousands of reports every day. And I would say that probably a good percentage of those are probably aircraft or things like that people misidentify. But I would say that that report, as I say, once again, that's just a very tip of the iceberg, like Dave said. I know. I can tell you about my incident back in 1966. I'm going back to when I saw a large oval orange object going across the night sky, and that was over Basildon.
Really?
Yeah. And there was quite a lot of reports of orange objects as well. I mean, what was that? I mean, So I do know they exist.
Yeah, I was going to say, could some of this stuff be something else then? I'm sensing, given the agency that you're part of, you think so, yes?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they could well be secret aircrafts and things flying about, but you do. I mean, a lot of these triangular craft and things, they could well be like a lot like we had previously with the secret aircraft flying around, where people were actually reporting on them and they were actually reported as UFOs. But there's a good percentage. Well, we've had landings and things like that, where people have been examining the landing marks and everything.
Landings of what though? Certain unidentified craft.
Yeah, well, yeah, like like what the U.S. Air Force or any air force over the world, they've developed aircraft from, and I think David would agree with me that a lot of the aircraft that are flying around secretly have probably been developed from UFO from the Roswell crash from years ago, from the 1940s. I mean, like Dave mentioned yesterday, things like lasers and the fibre optics were developed from that. They just appeared out of nowhere. Nobody knew what to do with them.
So let's get into the X-Files side of things then. Are we talking aliens here, David John?
Well, there's the thing. There are things flying around that we can't quite explain. As David's alluded to there, that some of those are actually reverse engineered craft by government agencies, which are actually piloted by human beings.
Yeah.
But they are still top secret, even above top secret in some cases. We're not going to ever get answers for those because of security classifications. However, they come from somewhere. They come from an alien extraterrestrial life intelligence that are either trading with us or have crashed, and there's been many documented cases of crash retrieval programs in the US and across the world, in fact, where alien craft has been recovered and taken to facilities, studied, reverse engineered, and from that technology has come about. And we have developed very quickly as a species, within the last 100 years. I think even evolutionists would agree that it's too fast for the natural curve. So it is come from somewhere. We do truly believe there are extraterrestrial life, which nowadays are called non-human intelligences, that have been around a very, very long time. And I think now is the time for us to be more accepting.
Well, we've seen all the movies, haven't we? And as you say, space is very vast. It's a large place, so it's not beyond the realms. How did you get into this then, David John? How did you get into it?
As I say to everybody with this subject, you never get into it, it gets into you. And that's because generally people will experience something for themselves, and that's where the curiosity starts, and people just want answers. And that's why the SEPI Agency were formed. As I mentioned, the police don't have a protocol to investigate these matters for you. However, the SEPI Agency do. We have an online system. We have SEPI Officers that will investigate anything you report to us of a supernatural, extraterrestrial or paranormal phenomena. So we have protocols. We have the training. Our team does comprise of servant police officers, military personnel, and the others have been trained in policing techniques and ethics as well. So
this is fascinating.
We're doing this properly. We want proper evidence, strong evidence, without the faff, as it were.
And have you seen anything then? You said a lot of the time you get involved in this because of something that may have happened to you. We heard from other David. Have you seen anything?
Yes, I mean, it's not as exciting as David's one, but I have definitely seen an object in the sky that's moved out of characteristics of anything normal. It done 90-degree turns very quickly, which if there were human pilots in a normal craft, that would kill them. The G-force alone. I've seen that. I've had a paranormal.
The movements of them.
Absolutely. So that's what you're looking for. When you see something in the sky, you're looking for unnatural characteristics. So it's not just about the pretty lights. It's about how does it move? What does it? Are there any sounds? How do you feel? More importantly, so there's many different aspects to a sighting.
Yeah, and David John, fascinating to talk to you. Last word from you, David Young. Then you mentioned that one in the Basildon area, and Basildon's come out tops as well in terms of the reports.
I And I'm talking about 1966 when I saw mine. I mean, I'm a bit older than David, so But I mean, I'll tell you a quick one. Just before that, when I was very young, I lived in London. When I was about 9 years old, I was actually watching a star moving and stopping and moving and stopping. Now that was back in the late 50s. So it was only later on that I realised that stars don't actually do that. So what was that?
Yeah, well, exactly. There's a lot of questions, isn't there? Fascinating stuff. So good to have you both on. David Young there from Canvey and David John from Leigh-on-Sea. They are both from a paranormal investigation group called the SEPI Agency, as they mentioned, where they look into some of these reports. And we've been talking about it this morning because Essex Police have released some of the calls that they've had logged over the last decade. Pages and pages of them. Quite a few. Basildon had the most, with I think 6 in total, and then it was Colchester and Chelmsford after that. But pretty much every district in the county has had some sort of encounter. And it's really interesting. Obviously, they've taken some of the details out because they don't want to identify the person making these reports. So some of it has been taken out. And as they said, some of it could be a case of legit stuff that's going on that they didn't know about. It might be aircraft in distress, could be illegal aircraft activity. Some has no explanation. And obviously it's not a police matter to follow that up. But some really interesting stuff. You know, this one from 2015 in Chelmsford, a woman heard this really odd sound near her vehicle. She saw something about 80 to 100 metres above it. She thinks it was a UFO. It was very pointy. It was very bright. It was flashing with orange and green. There's one in Braintree as well. They saw a bright orange light in the sky and then saw that light speed off. No sound coming from it, very quick moving. And then in Southend as well, they saw something for 30 seconds before it stopped, got dimmer incredibly fast. This person who reported it to the police said they're used to seeing satellites and things like that in the sky. This was different. And other people, saying in the call logs, please take me seriously. I'm not seeing things, but what is this? Some fascinating stuff. And this has all just been released by Essex Police.
On BBC.